to the crossroads. Fell down on my knees. I asked the Lord above for mercy. Hey, fall down to your knees. Standing at the crossroads, I tried to flag it right. Nobody seemed to know me. Everybody passing me by. Well, sun don't down, boy. Dark don't catch me here. Well, dark don't catch me here. Standing at the crossroad, baby. I believe I'm singing down.
Hi everyone, it's Plastic EP coming in from Melbourne, Australia. My co-host Spencer Drate. We've got a fantastic guest. Do the honors, Spencer.
So let me get into the show, and the secret word is blues. And we have one of the most famous, I'm telling you, most legendary women musicians and songwriters. Her name is Rory Block, who's also recorded over 30 plus albums and is very dear to be a friend of hers in my life. And she's also an author of books also. So let's get into the show. Hi, Rory. How are you?
Hey, Spence. I just also want to agree with what Spencer said. We've known each other since 1960 something, when Spencer used to come into the Allen Block sandal shop, and we just hit it off right away. We're always laughing. So it's so great that we're still able, to connect. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And it's been a while, and now you're on, and you're so fantastic. You just finished a great tour I heard about, and now let's get into your life.
Thank you.
We're gonna get into Rory's life right now. Let's start with your early life and your father, Alan Block. Talk about Alan a little bit.
He came from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. His people came over to the upper Midwest, and he left there after college and somehow decided to come to New York. He met my mother at some office somewhere. They both had a job, and he started a sandal shop on McDougal Street, and then finally he moved to West 4th Street. And that's where I do remember the early sandal shop on McDougal Street, but it was
Right.
it was like a tiny little like a hallway that opened to the street. So he moved to this bigger location, and that's where all the great musicians used to come. I mean, everybody came for sandals,
Wow.
or they
Yeah.
came to sing. Joan Baez was in the neighborhood. Bob Dylan lived 2 doors away, and I walked in
Wow.
one day after school, and I saw this incredible, artistic-looking young guy, and he wasn't famous yet. He was talking to my dad, and I really just knew from looking at him that he was somebody very, special artistically.
Yeah.
I could feel
Yeah.
the artist vibes. And when he left, my dad said, "You see that young man? He's just signed a record deal, and he's mostly a poet though, and he will never compromise his art. It's much more important to him to be true to his art than to do, the biz thing." And he just was like a person of integrity, and I really was inspired by that. So everybody came in to get sandals, you name it, they were in sooner or later. They would step on a piece of cardboard and get a pen line drawn around their foot. and then they would come back in 2 weeks and have a fitting. It was like a whole long process. The height of your arch would be notated, the center of your arch. It was like an art. And
Yeah.
so I was raised learning about that, making leather things, bags, belts, everything like that. But mostly music happened there. Huge jam sessions on Saturday
Wow.
afternoons. And I was
Mm.
this kid growing up around some of the best country players that were out there, and then the best blues players once they started getting rediscovered. So it was like the place to be. When I look back, I think, wow, I just thought the whole world was music. I didn't know that this was a fleeting, beautiful time in
Right.
a great area where everybody was just drawn in to make music together.
Mm.
Jimi Hendrix was walking down the street. John Lennon lived a half a block away. So it
Yeah.
was fabulous.
Wow. I remember that sandal shop because I used to hang with you and Eric at that time, and it was like for some reason I gravitated talking to you and I was there so
Wow.
often and got belts from you and buckles, and you made beautiful stuff. Let's go on to
Right.
when you're 14, you meet Stefan Grossman. Tell me about Stefan Grossman.
Well, there was a big music scene in Washington Square Park around what we call the Fountain. I mean, if you walk through
Yeah,
Greenwich Village at any point at that time period, I'm sure it's still there. I haven't been there in a while, but there was this big, beautiful ring around. In the center, there was a fountain. So everybody sat around there, played music, and at one point it became like a huge hub for different styles. So I was 13, 14, whatever, and you would walk around from one group of people to the next. It was packed. The whole park was
yeah.
packed around this circle. And you'd hear try in one of them. Try to look over the top of people's heads, crawl in between people. And you'd get to hear like David Grisman, and you'd get to hear Frank Wakefield, and one after the other great Steve Mandel, and oh gosh, his name will come to me. They played the theme song for Deliverance. All these great bluegrassers were over here, and then the folk people were over there, and then the bongo people were there. And then I heard this great sound. I'm like, who's playing that? That's special. And I looked in, I made my way through the crowd, and it was a ragtime playing. Stephen Grossman, standing there, he was, had this little smile on his face, and he was playing this beautiful notes, and I went, that's really beautiful music. Turned out to be like ragtime. So I did a lot of
Wow.
ragtime in the beginning. When
Wow.
I first started playing
Yeah.
guitar, I was playing powder rag and, Dallas rag, and
Yeah.
we became friends. And he gave me this record called Really the Country Blues. And it had little excerpts from all these different artists. Some were had just been rediscovered. The whole world of rediscovering blues masters and listening to incredible old records opened up for me through Stefan. And then all of a
Mm.
sudden, every time somebody was rediscovered, like some house, Mississippi John Hurt, Skip James, Booker White,
Wow. Wow.
Stefan would hear about it because he was in this small circle of friends who were just like madly in love with blues. We were blues freaks. Made note of the fact that everybody was in my small circle of friends was starting to play slide, and I held off till the last. I thought, well, Robert Johnson couldn't have been playing slide. Stephen played slide. John Hammond played slide. Who else should I think of? John Fahey, Joanne Kelly from the UK, and different people were playing slide in the 60s, and I just thought, like, it was a different style.
Yeah.
I was finger picking. I was doing Mississippi John Hurt. I was playing strumming style like Tommy Johnson, the Mississippi strumming styles. And I just thought, I didn't think I would ever pick up a slide. But then time
Wow.
passed, and I, playing a lot of Robert Johnson, and I began realizing, you know what, he was using a slide, and I'm gonna have to put one on. I'm gonna have to. I could show you what I went through. I could show you that, in the beginning, I overshot, I undershot. It was very
Mm.
nerve wracking. Like never
Yeah.
sounding. It wasn't on the string right. The vibrato was very fast and nervous. But I finally got a handle on it when Bonnie Raitt played on one of my records, and we were mixing her and soloing her in the speakers, and it was so clear what I was doing wrong when I heard her doing it right.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was relaxed the way she was playing. She was, I call it taking a stroll up the neck. You know, she would go, instead of whizzing up the neck and overshooting, she would. And then there was this relaxed rocking vibrato. I thought, oh, I'm doing it all wrong. I'm doing it fast and, you know, nervous sounding. And she's doing it like, you know, strolling, rocking. And then she would do these beautiful things. I call it leaping. She would go. So she would go, oh,
Yeah.
that's how that should sound. So after listening to her, I began practicing for real. It took me a while, but I wasn't in the pocket, as they say,
Yeah.
until one day I was sitting backstage at a place in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, a little venue there, and there was a radio promo guy standing there watching me in the back room. And suddenly I thought, he said, oh, that's awesome. And I thought, I must have figured out how to play. I thought, maybe I'm finally getting this thing happening. And again and again, I thought, yeah, I think I'm getting it. It's like ice skating. At first, like you're all over the place crashing. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I made it for 3 steps. And oh, look, I can make one. It was just like that. And then I began to practice for real. And somehow, over a long period of time, it took me a long time. I was a late comer. You know, I feel pretty comfortable, and I do slide workshops. I feel like I've got some information to share with people, whatever.
But you're so passionate about the music, it comes through in the playing. It's not just like an artist that just plays and it's playing. Right. Yours is dynamic. Your whole performance is dynamic. And the way you play the guitar and you pluck it and you play it, it's like a maestro. It's like, you can tell what a talent, you know? And I congratulate you on all the awards you've won as well.
Thank you.
Everybody passing me by. Sun going down, boy. Dark don't catch me here. Well, dark don't catch me here. Sweet man down, oh, feel my care. Now you can run, tell my friend poor Willie Brown. Well, you run, tell my friend poor Willie Brown. Standing at the cross. Thank you.
The next thing I want to bring up is a great film that you were in called Devil at the Crossroads about Robert Johnson. Tell us about that. You're in the film.
Wait a minute. I don't even know about that. Devil at the Crossroads. I don't. Oh yes, was it a Netflix show?
I
I
believe so, and I know
I
you're in it. It's a great film about the about Robert Johnson, but that's okay. I mean, you're in it, you know.
John Hammond and Bonnie Raitt is, various great artists are in it. I think it was aired on Netflix because Netflix people, a crew came down right here to Chatham Center, and if that's the same thing you're talking about, and I walked around. Was I filmed walking around in the church, Spencer? Did you see any of that?
I'm not, I don't, you know, it's funny. I vaguely remember it, but I know there's a lot of scenic stuff in the movie, I believe. Robert Johnson's area, I believe, you know what I mean? That type of thing, travel. I don't know.
No, if I knew about it, I might. If it's the Netflix production, I did know about it, but I didn't watch it.
You know, I want people to know that your albums, you've covered a lot of great famous blues musicians, songwriters. And you have a series of albums, I believe, on some of those. Is that right?
Yeah, the Mentor series, I call it.
Yes, yes. Yep.
And six albums. Let me see if I can use my guitar as a desktop right now. um,
Ha!
I recorded specifically tributes to those that I met in person. Because you could
Hmm.
do tributes to great blues artists for the rest of your life, and you'd never have enough time to cover all the great artists. But what I did
Sure.
is I said, Skip James. This is a piece of artwork that I did. This one's called Hard Luck Child, so that's one. Then there's the Book of White,
Oh,
tribute to
wow. Yeah.
Keeping Out Trouble. And this one's Reverend Gary Davis. I belong to the band. Um, Avalon, tribute to Mississippi John Hurt. And yeah, so I have these six. That's five. That's four. This one's to Mississippi Fred McDowell. It's called Shake 'Em On Down, and this one is to Son House, Blues Walking Like a Man. I started with this one, and I thought I'm going to do this tribute series just to the masters who I personally met. I spent
Right.
more time with Son House, and probably Reverend Gary Davis too. I wasn't playing his style, Stephen was, but
Yeah.
I probably spent more actual time with Son House and watching him
Wow.
and out of body when he played. He went completely out of body. And I thought,
Wow.
that's the way to do this. Because I really right with him. And we talked about, he told me that he taught Robert Johnson how to play guitar. And,
Really? Wow.
well, you see, very few people knew who Robert Johnson was in 1964. It was like a well
Yeah.
kept secret. Robert
Yeah.
Johnson had made one album. And I would have to say that Eric Clapton knew who he was at that time because he was
Hmm.
recording some Crossroad Blues over in England. And
Yeah.
obviously, Stephen was playing, John Hammond was one of the first playing Robert Johnson. And I had been working away feverishly trying to play and starting my own arrangements of Robert Johnson without a slide, though. That came later,
Hmm.
as I
Hmm.
and so we were like a little small handful of people who were like worshiping Robert Johnson because we could hear if
Yeah.
you had his ears to hear. I mean, Robert Johnson just leaped out. This is a genius. This is the best, greatest blues master of all times. That was completely obvious to me.
Now the next topic is very close to my heart. I met Dion DiMucci at WCBS years ago, and we really hit it off. And I know that you were on two Dion albums, Blues with Friends in 2000. Let me get the date here, 2020, and Girlfriends in 2024. And you played with Dion, I believe, on that album. Tell us about those two albums you were on with
Well,
Dion.
back to how I met Dion. I was opening for somebody at the Bottom Line in New York City. I used to hang around there, and I would get opening slots from time to time. And whether I was opening for Kev Mo or sometimes I opened for David Bromberg and his band. It was always a blast to open for somebody. And I did a couple of my own shows there too. And I get off stage, and up walks this really cool, once again, an artistic looking person, a really beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't recognize him as Dion, but when he introduced himself as Dion, I thought he was a beautiful, cool, artistic looking person. That part was without question. And
Yeah.
then he introduced himself as Dion. I said the stupidest thing that anybody could say, which is the Dion. And I'm sure he gets that. And and he was just so down to earth and so wonderful. And he started talking about how he loves blues, he follows blues, he plays blues, and I'm like, whoa, this is fantastic. I mean, the guy who sang, anybody here seen my old friend John, and now
Oh,
a lover of blues. Yeah, so he would just stay in touch over the years, and we'd hear from him sometimes. He's, give us a call every now and then, and we'd have Rob and Dion totally hit it off. And what, Rob? My brother Dion. Yeah, Rob says, my brother, my brother.
Hey, I've also got to say he's got a brand new book out, and I got to say I'm a big fan. And Ruby Baby is one of my favourite songs. I don't know if you've seen the film clip when he's in the aeroplane singing that.
He's classic and he's a legend, and yet he's so kind and humble. So I'm
yeah, very
beyond
good person.
those two records. I'm beyond whatever Dion asked me to do or asked me to do. I'm there. I said the same
Right.
thing to Ronnie Earl from Roomful of Blues. I said, whatever you need, whatever you want to do, I'm on board. I said, just ask me anytime. There's certain artists that are just like, ask me anytime. I'll do anything to play music with you. And that's how I feel about Dion.
Mm. Wow. And now let's get go forward to your new album, which I love, Heavy on the Blues, which we got to talk about. And that album, Rob Davis was involved with some major work, and your meeting with Rob Carpentieri was a big thing for you, right, Rory?
Mark Carpentieri. Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
Sony Playing Records, who I was with for years, a great label. They sold out twice, meaning when I say sold out, I don't mean like, in the way that you sold out. They sold their label,
right.
and the mentor and leader of Stony Plain, who everybody absolutely adored and loved, Holger Peterson, was no longer going to be the prez. And we were like, no, no, don't leave us. We need you. We love you. He assured us that it would continue on, and a new owner took over. That's 5, 6 years ago. And then all of a sudden, this new owner, after another few releases,
Mm,
he sold to a catalog label, and so now you couldn't make live records for them anymore. It just,
mm.
it's the music. People sell their labels suddenly. It's happened so many times to me, I can't tell you. I was on RCA and suddenly boom. Then I'm on Chrysalis, suddenly boom. Then I'm on, it's just the way it goes. I did an album for Ryko Disc. I'm thinking that was the Robert Johnson tribute. And
Wow.
just before it could have been nominated for anything, because I knew it was my best work, just as soon as it was time to submit any kind of your name in the list of those to be considered, they sold out. I'm like, no, leave this my best work and leave me here.
Right.
So when Stony Plain sold out, I thought, okay, here we go again. Now sold again. I shouldn't say sold out. I shouldn't say that. I should
Mm.
say when Stony Plain was sold to a catalog only label, I was just left thinking, and so were a lot of other artists, by the way, but everybody's landed again. Everybody's,
Yeah.
there was panic. I felt, what am I going to do now? I'm without a home. Uh, I'm just lost. I'll never sing music. I'll never sing again. That type of
Mm.
feeling, like my career
Wow.
crashed. But luckily it
Mm.
was brief. So I called Maria Mulder, who's my big sister spiritually, my
Yeah.
sister, mother, or whatever they say. And I called her and I said, Maria, because she was on Stony Plain too. And I said, Maria, what are we going to do? And she was at an airport about to board a flight to New Orleans, where she was making a record with a band called Tuba Skinny. This
Mm.
incredible group of young people who play Dixieland jazz like they
Wow.
were raised, maybe they were raised in it. And she
Wow.
was going with them, and she just said, "Listen to me. I'm your big sister. Now you listen. I'm going to give you some wisdoms. Don't be angry. Don't be sad. Don't be depressed. Don't slow down." She says, "We have a lot more music to make. Just get up and find another label." She found another label. So I said, "Do I have your permission to talk to your label?" She said, "Absolutely." So I had also a recommendation I called a lot of people, Jesse Finkelstein of Blues
Mm.
Radio International. Yeah, so I called different people and I said, who do you know of a great label? And at the time, this is a whole other subject, our bus had broken down. We had this 43-foot long tour bus that we got new as a fourth tour bus, new 340,000 miles that we put on it alone. Okay, so I can't believe it went that far before really breaking down. But I thought I'll never tour again. I don't have a tour vehicle, so I was in this despair. And I made the call to these two labels, and both of them were interested. I'm like, okay, I've been thinking there's music is going to happen. It was right, the attitude, because I was starting to get really, you can get negative if things get
Mm.
down. Really,
Right. That's
that's what it
true.
really means when you sort of really like this. Nothing's going to work out. I thought that I'll never sing again. That's really what it is. And then when I found that these two labels were both wanting to sign me, I'm like, this is like having a brand new start. So I called up the label that had a schedule where they could release me at this time of the year. I wanted to
Mm.
release in the very, very early fall. I wanted to release at the very last day of August, the first day of September. That's where I wanted to get my record out. I didn't want it to go on
Yeah.
until January, February, because that's happened to me a lot. It gets pushed to the next year, and I'm like, there's this vacuum that you feel
Yeah.
when you put your heart and soul into it, and then you have to wait for an extended period of time, and
Hmm.
all then you begin to like get depressed again. You begin to think no one's gonna like it. I mean, I always go through this, and then it comes out and it starts getting these beautiful reviews, and I start weeping. I mean, this happens to me every time, and I'm just very
Yeah.
lucky that anybody likes my music. I'm going to go back to that. But so the label that I called that I decided to go with was MC Records, and Mark Carpentieri is a drummer, so
Mm.
he knows because he's been part of the music scene, and for years he was doing drumming before he, I don't know exactly. Oh, I think he does say since 1991 on his logo. Yeah. So apparently in 1991 he started a label. And he was just so supportive, and he said, "Yeah, we're good. We can get you out in the last week of August, absolutely." And he said, "You've done a lot of tributes, you've done a lot of themed albums, and here they are. I've done Power Women of the Blues, Bessie Smith, and the different women of the blues. I've been doing that also, and making like a series out of that, three of those." He said, "Just do whatever you want." He said, "You kind of, you've been there, you've done that, and he was very complimentary. And he said,
Mm.
just do something that's like Rory Block now, Rory Block today, do whatever you want." And I'm like, that sounds like fun. What do you think I should do? What do you think? Because labels have their fingers on the pulse. A good label
Right.
knows what they
Right.
can, like Holder, imagine. They can advise you. Oh, that would be a great idea. There's a market for that. That would be good. That's timely. You can get some good advice from labels. Rounder was very smart about stuff like that too. So anyway, he said, just do Rory Block today. And I immediately got all charged up and I started listening as I always do, going through material until I love something. If I hear
You're
something,
right.
I love it. The first thing that I wanted to do was Coco Taylor's Walk in the Back Streets.
Mm.
I heard it and I went, well, anything Coco sings, I love. I knew Coco and she called me Little Miss Dynamite and everything, so I have like a personal connection. I cried like a baby, a single from two records right before the Bob Dylan release. Cried, Ain't Nobody Worried, it was called. and Cried Like a Baby became #1 on Bluesville XM satellite radio. So I had already done Coco Taylor and knew that I really loved doing Coco Taylor.
Wow.
But the Walk in the Backstreet just rocked my world. I said, oh man, that song is deep. That song is as deep as it gets. I got to do that. So that's how we started. And that's the song that Ronnie Earl is playing on, by the way. We wouldn't have picked anybody on earth over Ronnie Earl to play the guitar part because, you know, there's a lot of great electric guitar players on. You could name them for hours. There's so many good and talented electric guitar players. And some of them can play fast and a lot of notes, but Ronnie doesn't play like that. Ronnie plays really, really restrained, and he picks the moment to leap forward, and then he gets really subtle. And then he said, I play ahead of the beat or behind the beat. He does these really interesting jazzy things, and he just plays the tastiest notes, and he never overplays. And I really thought he's the guy who can really rock this song, and he did. I mean, I listen to it every time I hear it. I mean, I literally have to wipe away tears hearing Ronnie Earl play.
You got a great variety of musicians that you cover from Hendrix to Tommy Tucker. I mean, you've got like the names are unreal. And I think the way you pick music is really interesting. You don't do the normal songs that people think are going to be sure hits. You pick these songs that are amazing, written by each musician.
I wait till it rocks my world, whatever it is. I'm like, that's the one. I go, oh, I gotta do high heel sneakers. We're gonna start a music video for that tomorrow, by the way. I said, things pop out at me. And also, uh, did you know, let me tell you and your audience right now, that the mix of The Wind Cries Mary that's on this record is, we had no time to finalize the mix because the studio where Joanna was working had, like, I guess there was a storm in Jamaica. She was in Jamaica, and they had power outages there, and she could not record it when she wanted to. She had to wait an extra week, and by that time we were over schedule, and we were supposed
Wow.
to have it by a certain day, you know. And Mark said I have to have it by August 30th, you know, something like that. And so Joanna's studio where she was working was not up and running, and so they had to wait. So by the time we got her song, we were flying like the wind to get the mix done, and we just couldn't get it where we needed it to be. So then we remixed it after the record was released. Get that? And that didn't
Wow.
work.
Wow.
There is, and you can get access to a really different sounding mix that I think is where Joanna's where she should be, you know, more prominent in the mix, the vocals way up. And
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about that song before you mentioned it, "The Wind Cries Mary" by Hendrix. Because most people don't know that song. It's incredible.
I did it during the broadcast. You see, you'll remember, Spence, when you tuned in, that everybody was requesting songs. You were requesting songs. You wanted me to do
Yeah. Yeah.
the train left the station. That
Right.
one. Case in my hand. I can't remember the title. It's crazy. But you asked me to do it, and I said, I don't know. I don't do that Robert Johnson song. But you kept on saying, I know you
Oh,
would
yeah.
do a good. What the broadcasts were all about is people would say, can you do this Emmylou Harris song? And I thought, oh wow, I hope I can do it. I could do it justice. I've never done an
Oh,
Emmylou
come on.
Harris. That's what I was doing during shutdowns, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
learning all these great songs. That's how the Bob Dylan idea came about, because people would say, you should record a tribute. You really, you know, you really connect with the Bob Dylan songs. And yeah, so that's what that was all about. And people said, well, could you do Jimi Hendrix, and could you do, you know, Gladys Knight? And so it just really opened up this whole arena of covering other people's
Mm.
material, not
Right.
just
Right.
blues music, but pop
Right.
music. You know, I did Stevie Winwood, and I had a great time. And I did Motown,
Mm.
Teddy Pendergrass, Love, Love Without what? Ron? TKO, love TKO. Yeah,
Mm.
so kind opened up these doors to revisiting newer music. And I thought I can do music from people in the 60s and the 70s because that's already 50 years ago. And
Hmm.
that's music now. So that's okay, for doing old music without, but it was great fun, and that's what gave me the idea to do Jimi Hendrix because I did it on the air
Right.
and people, wow, you should, get good feedback from the listeners.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, listen, Rory, I'm so glad we interviewed you today. It meant a lot to my music heart. And I love you and Rob, and more success. And especially this album is really great. So I'm really happy for you for that. And for all the listeners, get this album, Heavy on the Blues. And Rory, thanks again for being on. I love you, dear.
Thank you for having me. To both of you, thank you very much. It's my honor and pleasure.